she's so fine. Hell of a ride, blows my mind. Hell of a ride, lights my day.
What's good, guys? This story came out today, and I want to thank Marie722 for sending it to me. A man who attacked Appalachian Trail hikers with a machete has been found not guilty by reason of insanity. That's a picture from August the 28th of 2011 of Appalachian Trail. A Massachusetts man who waged a grisly machete attack on a group of hikers on the Appalachian Trail has been found not guilty by reason of insanity and will remain in a psychiatric facility until he no longer poses a threat to others, court documents show. The attack made headlines in May of 2019 after James Jordan, 32, fatally stabbed 43-year-old Ronald Sanchez Jr. and seriously injured a woman who survived only by playing dead and then hiking 6 miles to call for help. Jordan was ultimately charged with 1 count of murder, 1 count of attempted murder, and 3 counts of assault. The bloody attack began on May the 11th, 2019, after Sanchez and 3 other hikers set up camp in the George Washington and Jefferson National Forest. According to the criminal complaint, Jordan approached the group's tents, quote, acting disturbed and unstable, end quote, even threatening to pour gasoline on their tents and burn them to death. The group packed up to leave, according to the complaint, but Jordan confronted them with his weapon. 2 of the hikers ran, but Sanchez and the female hiker stayed behind at the campsite. Jordan soon began arguing with Sanchez, then stabbed him. The female hiker ran, but when she grew tired, Jordan caught up and began stabbing her as well. He didn't stop until she played dead, according to the complaint. From there, the woman found another pair of hikers who helped her walk 6 miles into Smith County to call for help. Jordan entered a plea agreement with federal prosecutors on April the 15th, admitting to the conduct he was charged with and pleading not guilty by reason of insanity. A federal judge accepted that plea on April the 22nd, ruling that Jordan had failed to prove, quote, that his release would not create a substantial risk of bodily injury to another, end quote. The judge ordered that Jordan remain in custody, quote, until he has recovered from his mental disease or defect, to the extent that his release or his conditional release would no longer create a substantial risk of bodily injury to another, end quote. In a victim impact statement, the woman Jordan stabbed said she remained, quote, haunted, end quote, not only by Jordan's actions, but by her own. Quote, I watched and listened in helpless near disbelief as Mr. Jordan transformed before my eyes from a bewildered, confused man into a violent animal, she wrote. I saw him attack and murder a good, kind man, and I hear Ron's voice. I hear him cry out, and I hear him again and again in my mind asking me to wait for him, end quote. She begged the judge to use, quote, what power you have to still keep that man under lock and key, end quote. She continued, quote, keep him from harming anyone else. He has demonstrated that he is an unwavering danger to those around him, and I cannot bear the thought of him inflicting upon anyone else what he has on me and on Ron, end quote. Let's take a look at him again up here. That's a picture of 30-year-old James Jordan. Terrible. And I want to go back to the judge's words here. Quote, that his release would not create a substantial risk of bodily injury to another. And then, quote, until he has recovered from his mental disease or defect to the extent that his release or his conditional release would no longer create a substantial risk of bodily injury to another, end quote. That's very vague. And at whose discretion is that going to be? Is it going to be according to his psychiatrist, his whoever he's being treated by? You know, that's very vague. That's scary to me. It's very scary because someone who, I'm just going to use this as an example. I knew a person that was very good at playing the system, and they could play whatever role they wanted to play. They could play sick, but they knew all the right things to be released from facilities. So if he's one of those people, and then he gets back on the street, it's scary. So that's why I'm concerned at whose discretion, who's going to be making up the decision on when he does get released. So that's concerning. But I'm going to end the story on that note. Thanks for watching, guys.